Alright, we are in section 2.6, proving angles congruent. Let's look at the solve it. A quilter wants to duplicate this quilt but knows a measure of only 2 angles. What are the measures of angles 1, 2, 3, and 4? How do you know? So, other than guessing or saying, oh, it looks, since this is 60, angle 3 also looks 60. There's a reason for that. So let us look at one of the angles that are, one of the angle theorems that is very important. Alright, so see this. The vertical angle theorem. Vertical angles are congruent, so angles 1 and 3 are congruent to each other, and 2 and 4. Vertical angles are directly across from each other. So let us look at problem 1. Alright, problem 1. What is the value of x? So, our first step is, let's look at these 2 angles. We know that these 2 are directly across from each other, so therefore they're vertical. If they're vertical angles, that means they're equal to each other. So we know that 2x plus 21 equals 4x, because they're vertical. So now, we can do a solve for x. Subtract 2x on both sides, then divide by 2, and then you get 21 halves equals x. So we're able to set these 2 equal to each other because they're vertical angles. So why don't you try the got it? Alright, problem 2. You're given this picture right here. Angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're given that angle 1 is congruent to angle 4. You want to prove that angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. Let me make it a little bit bigger for you. Alright, so our first step. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 4 because that's the given. Now what we want to do is we want to try to connect this step to either angles 2 or 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say angle 4 is congruent to angle 2 because they are vertical angles. So now I've connected my given to part of the proof. So now my next step is to say that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. And I know that because of the transitive property. I'm going to say transitivity. Transitivity. Alright, so now what I can do is I can also say now that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3 because of vertical angles. And so now my last step is going to be is angle 2 is congruent to angle 3 because of the transitivity. And I'm done. So, we started with the given, then we related it to what we wanted to prove. And then, by transitivity, we wanted to connect angle 2 back to what we were given. So then we could go back and try to relate it to angle 3. And then we were able to prove it, and then we're done. So why don't you try to got it? And this is the got it right here. Alright, let's try problem 3. Right, so let's hide this for a second. Okay. I can't see it. Alright. Angle 1 and angle 3 are supplementary. Angles 2 and angle 3 are supplementary. You want to prove that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Now, they want you to write a paragraph proof, but I'm going to change it. I'm going to do a 2-column proof. You're welcome. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So, I always put the proof statement over here onto the right side because I always want to see where my goal is. I want to see how do I get from this step all the way to over here. Now there are many ways to do proofs. We could have proved this a different way if we wanted to, as in I could have gone from this step, I could have gone to step 4 and then step 3. So I didn't have to go exactly in this order. So we start that measures angle 1 and 3 are supplementary, and angles 2 and 3 are supplementary. So because of that, I can say that angle 1 plus angle 3, I think it's the measure of angle 1, yeah, equals 180. And the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 equals 180. That's the definition of supplementary. Definition of supplementary angles. So now, my next step is, I can say that measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 3 equals the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3. By transitivity. And so now, we can subtract measure angle 3 on both sides. And you can get the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 2 because of the subtraction property of equality. And then, final step, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 by definition of congruence. And then we're done. So, we start with the given, and then I looked at my goal. I want to see how I was going to get from here to here. The only way was to put this in an equation, and then I noticed that I could set these two equal to each other because this was because of transitivity, and then because of subtraction property of equality, I could cancel these out, say that measure of angle 1 is equal to measure of angle 2, and then by definition of congruence, angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So why don't you try the got it? However, for the got it where it says write a paragraph proof for the vertical angles theorem, just write a 2-column proof. Write a 2-column proof. Let me be clear, you do not have to write a paragraph proof.